back to my channel. Today we're going to be making the baby bloomers from Peekaboo Pattern Shop. Let's first go over some pattern pieces you're going to need for today. So you're going to need the back piece, the front piece, you're going to need a waistband, and you're going to need 2 leg band mirror images. And today I'm going to be making the knit version, and there's also a woven version. All right, let's get started. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the front and back pieces. So you're going to take your front and back pieces and you're going to put them right sides together, and you're going to pin along this short little side seam on both sides. And then also the crotch seam down here. And then you're going to sew these together using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you can either use a serger, or if you're using a domestic machine, you need to use some sort of stretch stitch. So I'm going to go sew those together. I'll be right back. All right, that's sewn together now. So the next step is to prep the leg bands. The pattern doesn't say to do this, but I prefer to press mine right sides together. So I'm going to go ahead and press, I'm going to do all 3 bands, the waistband and the leg bands, and I'm going to press all of those in half. It just makes it a little easier. All right, so I have to go ahead and press those wrong sides together. So you see the right side, and you're going to then open them up, and you're going to put them right sides together, and you're going to clip this short edge, and we're going to sew the short edges of these together at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. For the pattern, it just wants you to do the leg bands now, but I like to prep as much as I can and go sew at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and sew both leg bands and the waistband. So again, 1/4 inch seam allowance, stretch stitch, or serger. All right, so those are all sewn together. I'm going to set the waistband aside, and we're going to use the leg bands. So now you're going to use that memory press and fold these in half with the wrong sides together. And the pattern says to line up this notch with the notch on the pattern, and the seam here that you sewed together is going to line up with the crotch seam on the bloomers. So I'm going to go ahead and line up that crotch seam with the leg band seam first, and then I'm going to line up the notch. And there was another marking on here, this mark from when you cut the pattern. I'm going to move that mark to the outside. Where's my mark? And that is going to line up with the side seam. And then you're going to sew this on, and you're going to stretch it to fit as you sew it on. Again, using a serger or stretch stitch, and you're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And you're going to repeat that for the other leg as well. once you've stitched that on, you're going to go ahead and press the seam allowance down away from the band, so back towards the bloomers, and then you're going to top stitch around this whole edge along the bloomers here so that you top stitch that seam allowance down. I'm going to sew mine at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and I'm going to use my lightning bolt stitch. Make sure you use a stretch stitch. Alright, so I went ahead and top stitched the leg openings. So last step is the waistband. So you're going to take your waistband that we've already sewn together on the short edge, and you're going to fold it in half. Wrong sides together, so the right sides are out. And you're going to find, you can either do 1/4 points or 1/2 points. I'm going to go ahead and do 1/4 points. Could probably get away with 1/2 points since it's so small. Oops. Okay, and then you're going to take your bloomers and you're going to find the center front and the center back of these as well. Let me get my scissors so I can do a little snip. Just going to do a little snip. Tiny, tiny little snip because you're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And so you want to make sure it's not showing in the end. And now we're going to put the right sides together with this seam. It's kind of hard to see on mine, but that's where my seam is. It's going to go in the center back. Just going to pin that in place. Then I like to make sure it's not twisted when I do the center front. Line my clip up with my snip. And then your 1/4 points are just going to be your side seams. Should have probably double checked that. And I like to make the seam always go towards the back. And so you should check and make sure, oh, we'll see it down here, it went towards the front. So I want to make sure that seam is going the same direction so that when they're on, they lay the same way. So again, I'm going to check. Seams laying this way, so I'm going to lay the seam this way at the 1/4 point. And then again, you're going to sew this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance and stretching to fit as you sew. And you're going to use a stretch stitch or a serger, and then you're going to want to flip it and press it nice and flat, and then you're going to top stitch, and then we'll be all done. Baby bloomers are all done. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this pattern. It's super quick and easy, and it's so cute on the little ones. Please feel free to click on my links to purchase the pattern. In the description below will be my affiliate link, so no cost to you, but I get a little 10% if you do make a purchase. And please comment if anything you guys would like to see or any questions. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.